How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? I got you some Black Ops 2 gameplay on standoff using what at the time was the most try-hard setup in the game. I don't know about now, there's been sort of balance patches and whatnot, but I did this just because I really wanted to use a VTOL warship. I think I'd only used one from like a care package or something before in the past, and I thought, right, I want to earn myself a VTOL warship just to say that I've done it. And I think I end up getting one or two later on, but it's a pretty long game, so sit tight, strap yourselves in. It might be a controversial topic, we don't know. What I was thinking about this morning was the Industrial Revolution took place sort of just over, well, around about 200 years ago, sort of the end of the 18th century going into the 19th. And started sort of, I don't know where it started, probably in the UK, but it spread pretty quickly throughout the world, sort of machines and steam power and whatever, all that good stuff. But what I was thinking was, before that, the whole world was in this sort of homogeneous state of all being sort of, you know, farmers with the occasional, like, I don't know, it's basically like farmers and military people was essentially how I view the world sort of beyond 200 years ago. Like, if you look at this graph, right, I'm going to put a really obtrusive graph on the screen. Nothing until like mid-1800s, 1900s, nothing, and then all of a sudden sort of exponential, ridiculous growth. The whole world has iPads and mineral water and all this shit. It's amazing that it's already sort of got to this stage just after about 200 years when you think about the amount of progress that was made before that. In sort of, what, 2,000 years, there's almost no progress. It's kind of weird, but you know, thinking that, if it's only been 200 years since that, what about 200 years in the future? What happens in the year 2213 or whatever, 200 years from now? You know what I'm saying. I can't do maths. 200 years from now, what is it going to be like? There's a thing called Moore's Law in computing. It states something along the lines of every 10 years, technology is 10 times smaller, cheaper, and more powerful, or something like that. It might be Moore's Law, it might be something else. The point is, there's this sort of gradual trend of technology becoming cheaper, more available, and more powerful over time. You ask your grandparents about buying sort of computer memory, they tell you about how they had to pay like 1,000 quid just for 120 kilobytes of RAM or something, but nowadays you've got iPad minis, you've got sex robots, you've got almost functioning AI. We're probably at the stage where we're almost soon going to have proper sort of evolving AI before long. And I was kind of thinking about the next step for humankind. Where do we go from here? We've sort of reached the end of... We haven't really had many significant evolutionary advances. It's a slow process, obviously, but like... Obviously, we haven't noticed much of a change in the past sort of... The amount of history we've got recorded. Like, it was Neanderthals, and then there were, like, Ice Ages, and then there were us. We got a slightly bigger brain, but there's not been too much of a extreme evolutionary change. But when you sort of watch movies like, I don't know, random sci-fi stuff, or like X-Men or something, and you think about what the human body could potentially do if given sort of the right conditions to evolve and adapt. You think about the human body's only sort of 20% efficient when it comes to producing energy for itself. I think something like 20% of our food actually becomes energy, which is a pretty horrific level of efficiency if you think about it. You know, I'm all about efficiency, that's what we learn. We gotta try and find ways to make everything as efficient as possible. What if the human body adapted? What if we had some way of genetically engineering people to be 100% efficient with the energy they get? You could eat as much as Posh Spice does in a day and you'd be able to last your entire day, do a full workout, do a run, all this kind of stuff. Think about the world hunger problems that would solve. And you think about the sort of differences in different people in the world. Like I said, in sort of the Western first world economies, you've got all this stuff going on. You've, like, to put it in perspective, in some poor sort of, like, Somalia or something, you've got some, like, age-stricken 14-year-old woman who's having to care for her younger brothers and sisters. The parents died of AIDS, you know, Years ago, when they were still babies, they've had to fend for themselves. She's carrying like liters of cholera-infested water every day just to feed her baby brothers and sisters. She'll probably die of AIDS in a couple of months' time. You know, all these problems you got to deal with, and you think about people in the first world complaining that they're in a long queue for Starbucks or something, just to put it in perspective. But what if sort of all these places like, you know, third world countries, Africa or whatever, what if we could get everyone to the same sort of stage? How productive that would make the world, how sort of advanced the world economy could become. Like if you, I don't know how you do this, a lot of investment, a lot of effort put into sort of improving the standards of everyone. Because it's sort of a reciprocal thing. If everyone is sort of at that high standard, we can help each other through like trade, specialization, whatnot. And everyone's going to sort of become better as a result of that, will advance better. I mean, yeah, they got a disadvantage. They got horrific, terrible weather. You can grow like one crop a year. Pretty bad weather. Horrific wildlife, hippos, lions, definitely not good for the productive sort of side of things. AIDS, that's a big one. By the way, why is it that all these sort of Christian missionaries back in the day and whatever would go around sort of encouraging the usage of, well, rather discouraging the usage of contraception, condoms or whatever? You think about all these people who already have really high sort of reproduction rates. I mean, you think about the lifespan's so low in sort of different parts of Africa that a parent might have 8 kids or something, which you think about a society like the UK, the US, most parts of Europe, the average amount of kids is like 2 or 1.7 or something weird like that. But think about all these places, they have all these kids, so basically AIDS is going to spread like wildfire, is basically what they're saying. But you can't use condoms because you'll go to hell, right? Personally, I'll take hell over AIDS any day. If you think about all these sort of different areas of research, like stem cell research and genetic engineering, I'd love to get to the point where we can actually genetically engineer our babies to choose what they have, right? I already got my name planned out for my baby. I'm gonna have 2 girls, 1 boy. The boy's gonna be the youngest. The girls will be called Cassandra and Alexandra. The boy will be called, I don't know, leave suggestions in the comment section below. I'm going to genetically engineer them all to have blue eyes, ginger hair, you know, no mental disorders, no weird hereditary stuff like Huntington's disease or whatever. I assume I don't have that gene in my body, but if that's possible, I don't want it to happen. But the fact that you can actually engineer your kids to be whatever you want is an interesting prospect. There's a lot of moral issues around it, but you get all these people saying, oh, it's wrong to tamper with God's will or whatever. Don't get me started on that argument, but you get the people who say this, but it's the same people who will go to like some sort of surgery clinic to get plastic surgery. It's sort of, you know, you want to change your own appearance for your own good? Fine. But and then you go ahead and mock other people for wanting to do the same thing to their baby. You're a parent, you want what's best for your baby. If your baby happens to be born with Down syndrome and you can detect it at an early age, modify it, change the genes so it doesn't have Down syndrome. If that's a possible thing, I don't know, I'm not a geneticist, I don't know what I'm talking about, but if that's an actual thing and you're saying, no, don't do that because it's wrong, you're tampering with genes. No, fuck that! Just, you may as well make it as productive as you possibly can. And all these different things are sort of holding back our society as a whole, like stem cell research, genetic engineering, all this kind of stuff. We'd have hover cars by now if it wasn't for all this stuff holding us back. You know, not naming anyone in particular, but I'm saying there's a lot of potential there, and in the future, humans, in my opinion, will have developed sort of genetic engineering to the point where you can specialize your kids to be whatever you want them to be. You can give them really powerful legs so they're a good athlete. You can give them a supersized brain so they can, you know, calculate the velocity of a comet speeding towards Earth or something. I don't know. You can program all your kids of all these different things. And I say if the technology's there, why not use it? We may as well take advantage of that. And if you say to the people in Africa, hey, how would you like access to, you know, filtering systems for your water? How would you like technology to, you know, solar panels, so you've got power for all your homes, all these appliances, you can have toasters, ovens, all this kind of stuff. If you say to them, do you want all this technology? It's available to the rest of the world. Yes, we'll take this technology. Not that it's possible in this scenario, but the point I'm trying to make is that if you have the stuff available to you, why not use it? There's so many different sort of moral issues holding us back. And I feel like in the future we're going to have, you know, superhumans, the next stage of evolution. We're going to be able to advance as a society. There's going to be probably some sort of weird New World Order conspiracy theory going on about, oh, in 200 years the world will be ruled by zombie Thatcher, zombie Hitler, Robert Mugabe's sort of thug army surrounding them or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea what the future of the world will hold. Maybe all currencies will be abolished. It'll be replaced with bitcoins. Everyone will be the same skin color. You'll have Asians mixing with blacks, mixing with Mexicans, white people, Scandinavians with their blue eyes, which are gorgeous by the way. Mix them all together, you get one homogeneous race. And that's what the world's going to be. But we'll all have superpowers. We'll all have, you know, absolute Einstein genius IQ. We'll be able to do anything, jump across, you know, the Grand Canyon, all this kind of stuff. I have no idea. This is just the ranting of a borderline insane student. What do you think? What is going to happen in 200 years' time? Where are we going to be? What's the world going to be like? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that being said, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.